love anything, and your heart will certainly be wrung and possibly be broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give your heart to no one, not even to an animal. Wrap it carefully round with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, and irredeemable. The only place outside of heaven where you can be perfectly safe from all the dangers of love is hell. Love. Love of freedom of religion, on which our nation was founded. Many of you know I talk often about the ministry of Voice of the Martyrs in Bartlesville, the things that I learned from and through my experiences with them. And I want to remind you that today in some 54 nations in our world, Christians are beaten, imprisoned, ran out of their homes, children stolen, daughters raped, sold into sexual slavery, fathers executed, pregnant mothers kicked in the stomach. And they're crying. The crime for which they receive these punishments is faith. Their crime is Christianity. But you see, in the U.S., in these United States, we celebrate freedom. We celebrate the freedom to be a Christian. We have the freedom to share our faith. We have the freedom to come here unhindered, without fear of retaliation, because of the blood shed by brave men and women to purchase that freedom. God, we thank you this morning for men and women who have and who are even today raising their right hands, pledging their very lives to protect and preserve our freedom. But I have to ask the question sometimes, if we keep that position of freedom in its proper place in our lives. If when we think about and we hear about daughters sold into sexual slavery and fathers imprisoned and executed and churches disbanded and on and on and on, I wonder if our hearts say, wow, Lord help them, sure feel bad. Or if our hearts say, I have all this freedom and what am I doing? In the lack of freedom, in the absence of freedom of religion and Christianity, we find believers that are witnessing for their faith and taking chances. I shared with you last week about one of the women that I got to interview in China. And she, if you'll remember, I shared with you that her prayer that she asked us to pray for her was, pray that I might have more boldness. I don't feel very bold. And you'll remember that as we began to ask her what that was about, she said, well, some years ago, I think she said 98 or 99, she was witnessing the glory and the gospel of Jesus Christ and His grace, and was captured and imprisoned for a number of years, and was in deplorable conditions for witnessing the grace of Christ. She was released from prison to only a few months later be caught once again, an outlaw, a criminal, for sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. And her words were, now that I'm back out of prison for the second time, I feel some timidity in sharing the gospel and I'm ashamed in front of my Christ. I don't know where all my boldness has gone and I want it back. I want to be bold and I want to be a bold witness for Jesus, but I'm afraid of going back to prison for the third time. Country was founded, this country, on religious freedom. We have the freedom, the opportunity, the right, even the constitutional right to share our faith in this country. How many of us are praying for boldness despite our circumstances and surroundings to continue the sharing of the gospel of Jesus Christ? It's always really just so very, very important for we followers of Christ to remember that